So I bought this power shower. On the box it said, feels like the water's coming down from Niagara Falls. First time I used it, got hit on the head by a bloke in a barrel. So I went into Dixon's, sales assistant slapped my hand in midair. I said, no, I said, show me your hi-fi. He said, have you got a hard drive? I said, no, it's gravel. So I went to the doctor's. I said, I've got a rash. He said, I'll be as quick as I can. I said, I've got a heart complaint. He said, murmur. I said, I've got a heart complaint. By the way, if you've got an Islamic dog, Muslim. Velcro, what a rip-off. This bloke said to me, he said, whatever you do, don't mention deodorant. I said, sure, mum's a word. And a friend of mine found a gold coin in a lump of earth. Lucky sod. But the scariest thing that ever happened to me, I was mucking about in a lesson. My teacher made me stand outside. It was a flying lesson. You see, the advantage of easy origami is twofold. So I went to the doctor's. Oh, by the way, that's legend. That's an alphabet grenade. If that goes off, could spell disaster. So I said to this bloke, I said, did you know Marie Osmond's about to appear in the world's worst film? He said, Warner Brothers. I said, already have. So I went to the record shop. I said, what have you got by the doors? He said, a bucket of sand and a fire blanket. So I went down to a local music shop. I said, can you teach me how to read music? He said, why? I said, because I keep pronouncing it music. I said, I want to buy a violin. He said, do you want a bow as well? I said, don't bother wrapping it. I said, I want something that goes ping. He said, ping. I said, you'll do. Sorry, I'll put the laughs on later. So, exit signs, they're on the way out, aren't they? Do you know, you can't get a job as an airline pilot if your name is Jack, because you walk into the cockpit, co-pilot says, hi Jack, and everyone starts screaming. So I was working in a health food shop. This bloke walked in. He said, evening primrose oil. I said, Mr. Vine to you. He said, saw your chunks. I said, he shouldn't have been looking. So I was working in Burger King. Andrew Lloyd Webber walked in. He said, give me 2 Whoppers. I said, you're good looking and your musicals are great. So I went to the doctor's. I said, I'm feeling a bit quincy. He said, don't you mean queasy? I said, we're talking about human lives. For those of you who remember that program. Now, what a good-looking audience. How do you do it? How do you do it? Why didn't you do it? So I went to have a look at a department store. I said, have you got any net curtains? He said, they've all got VAT on them. I said, that's gross. So I went to the dentist. Is something on fire or is this my act burning? So I went to the dentist. He said, say ah. I said, why? He said, my dog's died. Now, most dentist chairs go up and down like that. The one that I was in was going backwards and forwards. I thought, this is unusual. And the dentist said, Mr. Vine, get out the filing cabinet. So it's all for charity, and apparently you can't die at a charity gig. That's what I've heard. Look at that idiot, he's facing the wrong way. Oh. So, do you know, apparently 1 in 5 people in the world are Chinese, and there's 5 people in my family, so it must be one of them. It's either my mum or my dad, or my older brother Colin, or my younger brother, Ho Chao Chong. I think it's Colin. But I always get very emotional when I go to weddings. The last wedding I went to, I cried my eyes out. It was when the vicar said, I'm afraid she hasn't turned up to him. So I went to the cinema, I saw a very sad film, and the bloke behind me suddenly started wailing. I got hit in the back of the head with a harpoon. And my girlfriend got in the car, and her tights ripped. So I gave her the fan belt. So I was getting into my car. This bloke said to me, he said, can you give me a lift? I said, sure. You look great. The world's your oyster. Go for it. So I went to the ice cream shop. I said, I want to buy an ice cream. He said, hundreds and thousands. I said, we'll start with 1. He said, Knickerbocker glory. I said, I do get a certain amount of freedom in these trousers, yes. I said, I was in a cross-country run today. He said, what position did you finish in? I said, do you know, today I was having dinner with my boss and his wife, and it was a complete disaster, because my boss's wife said to me, she said, Tim, how many potatoes would you like? I said, I'll just have 1. She says, all right, you don't have to be polite. I said, all right then, I'll just have 1, you stupid cow. It's strange, isn't it? You stand in the middle of a library and go, ah, and everyone stares at you. Do the same thing on an aeroplane, everyone joins in. Now, you know those black box flight recorders they have in aeroplanes? Apparently now they've started installing them in cars so you can hear the last few seconds of a car crash. And I've got an example of one here. Black box flight recorder from a car. Have a listen to this.
Yeah, just keep going straight on here. Right, left at these lights. That's it. Keep going. Mind that aeroplane!
That can't be right. Now, do you like photography? Yeah, snap. Oh, come on, don't be negative. Let's just see what develops. Best gig of my life. Hey, I'll tell you what, the band are coming on later. See, observational comedy. I can do that as well. All right there? You invented Tipex. Correct me if I'm wrong. Out of interest, what do you do for a living, sir? You're in finance, all right. And how long have you been doing that for? 10 years. Right. Does it affect hearing? I said, does it affect your hearing? You can do most of this act at home, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen. I know I do, or at least I should have. Now, do you know, I saw this sign, it said hairdressing for men. I walked in, there was a rabbit trying on clothes, and all these blokes going, yeah, very nice. You see, last night I put everything I owned onto one horse, and it squashed it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, because we're here for a great charity, and it's Ryman's that have got behind this whole thing, I'm going to attempt something that's quite tricky. It's going to impress you if I can do it. I'm not sure whether I can, but I'm going to try it, because you seem like an audience who want to see someone attempt something. Am I right? Let's get behind the act at this late stage. Would you like to see me attempt something? Right, that's good. That's someone banging their head on the table. Did you hear that? Or trying to tunnel out. So here we go. This is called Pen Behind the Ear. And if you'd like to hit the music, please. Thank you very much. A bit louder, much louder, in fact. In fact, audible. Thank you. Louder.
Pen behind the ear, pen behind the ear, pen behind
Ryman's pens.
Pen behind the ear, 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 pen behind. Pen behind the ear, 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 pen behind. Pen behind the ear, 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 pen behind. Pen behind the ear, 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 pen behind the ear.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the other ear. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you'll agree, one of the funniest blokes in the world, Mr. Tim Vine. Give him a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Come back and take a bow, Tim. Mr. Tim Vine. Ladies and gentlemen, as we get the band on now, you can have a little wee-wee break. You don't have to have a wee-wee break because we are going to press ahead. Because we have got the most fantastic bunch of musicians coming onto this stage to entertain us now. Still, lots and lots more of delights heading our way. It's time to let our hair down now. Before we do that, we get the boys set up for the band. Do we have a final tally how much money we've actually made in the auction? We have made what? 20? Right. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a drum roll, Mr. Drummer, as you sit down there? Just to get used to the drum, just at the drum roll. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Mr. Theo P, through the love and the kindness and the friendship that he has in this room, and the generosity of you guys, for the benefit of Comic Relief, we have raised in the auction an unbelievable amount of £27,600.
Pen behind the ear, pen behind the ear, bloody